Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. So I literally just got back yesterday from another long road trip for work and wanted to jump right into the shop on the next project, which are going to be some table Lazy Susans. Now, table Lazy Susans aren't new to my channel. I did the first ones 4 years ago, and they were what I call the plain versions. They were still beautiful, but there was nothing really overly fancy about them. And then 2 years ago, I did them with a twist, and I added the wavy lines to them. And those were really cool and a big hit. And now all the way to today, I've got a request to build a couple more. And so I'm gonna try to do something even more different than I've done in the past with these. And I have a myriad of material here to play with and add kind of colors to the palette in these. So we'll see what comes out. But first, I need to head into the house and get this beard off my face so that I can wear a respirator in here. And also I have to go ahead and get all this lumber somewhat milled up and cut to kind of appropriate sizes. But yeah, let me take care of that stuff and then we'll get going on these and I'll show you what we're gonna do. All right, so these really start out just like all the other Lazy Susans. I've got some lumber here in an order that I like, and I'm gonna glue these up. I'm not gonna put that on film. It's just gluing up a panel is all it is. And then we're gonna come to this stack of wood and we're gonna start putting this stuff in here in kind of unusual ways, and we'll line it all out with these thin maple strips that I made. And it'll make sense to you. But let me get these glued up and then we'll start cutting them apart again. So the first splash of color I'm going to put in is some of this leftover red gum that I had. Just really pretty lumber, and I don't have any in here, so that'll be a nice, fairly good sized piece in here. I've kind of picked out a pattern that I kind of liked, and I just used some of my drawing templates and found something that looked good to me. And then I'm going to use blue tape and CA glue. I'm going to stick this down and take it over to the bandsaw. I'm going to cut the whole thing out, and then we're going to go back to a glue up. Now normally I would just go to a strip at that point and glue it back up, but we're actually going to glue this piece in here, creating two different boards, and then mix things up a little bit. Now, this will become more obvious very shortly. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get this tape down, and then I will see you over at the bandsaw. All right, just like that, and we'll let it cure up. And of course I have to do the other side as well. And then I have the other Lazy Susan to do as well. So I'll be back when the glue cures up and we'll decide what's next. All right, so pulled the first side out of clamps. Obviously we're still really long, and this has got a pretty good lip on it as well. So all I'm gonna do is just nip these ends off at the table saw. And then when I get that one out of clamps and cleaned up to that stage, I'll go ahead and run them through the planer. But I'm going to do all that tonight. And then tomorrow, when I get out here, we'll work on getting some more color in here. So see you guys in the morning. So I came out pretty early this morning trying to figure out what I wanted to do for some more color in here. And I think we're going to do this little pattern right in here, but we're going to mix up the species, and we're going to do one in a dark color and one in a light color. And I just kind of drew these out here. I'll get them stuck on here, and we're going to cut these out and put these in. Again, they will get these strips that go around them as well. And then we'll have to come back and just snip these edges off, but you need to be jointed for the glue up anyway. So that's what I'm going to do next, is start getting these cut out. Okay, so there you can kind of see how it's kind of going to look. These pieces are not, none of them are put together yet. And of course these thin strips got to go in there on them too. That could be a tight stretch. So that's why you noticed I flattened out some of these curves just a little bit is to make this bending go in here. So next up I'm going to get these glued in. Then we'll come back and trim this up and glue this whole thing together. And then we'll decide if we want anything else in here. All right, so there it is with that pattern in. I still think we're going to do a couple of wavy lines through here just to add to it. But in order to get to that, I got to go ahead and glue these two halves up, and that's what I'm going to do next. All right, so all in all, I think that glue up went fairly well. I'm not completely flat on this, but I'll get it through the drum sander when I'm completely done putting lines in it and make it all flat at once. And I hope my pencil marks show up here, but I have one that runs through this way and one that runs through this way. And I'm going to go ahead and add those lines just to give it a little bit more detail. It means 2 more glue ups, but you know, it is what it is. And I just used a template that I created long ago for doing the wavy cutting boards and stuff. And I used that for here. They're nice, gentle, sweeping curves, easy to cut at the bandsaw. But I'm cutting these no different than I cut the other one, so I'm not going to put it on film. I'm going to go ahead and get these cut and hopefully get them both in tonight. And then we'll move on and start making this into a Lazy Susan probably tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to give you the benefit of some of my learning to this hardware because I had never used this hardware before, and I'll save you some of the headaches that I had. It's not bad hardware. It works nice. It's way quieter than the other stuff, but they have these little plastic feet on them, which are nice to keep this off of the table and somewhat protect the table. It's fairly... It seems natural to pull the plastic feet off of the other side, use the countersunk screws and put them in. Word to the wise, don't take the plastic feet off of the other side because that creates the clearance that you need so that that does function nice on here. So leave those plastic feet in. There's only 3 of them. I think there's 3. Yeah, there's just 3 of them. And then, put your holes in and don't over tighten your holes, or your screws rather. These are definitely ones that should be installed by hand. So confession, when I first did this one, it didn't rotate hardly at all. In fact, it spun more on those plastic feet than it did like this. So I had to go do some homework and figure out what the heck I was doing. But that's what it was. I had to come back and put those plastic feet in there to create the spacing and then not over tighten these screws. And now they function just like they should. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. I hope you got something out of it. I will leave a link to this hardware in the show notes. So if you want to try this, you can. But until next time, take care.